Recording. Hello, friends. Welcome to a team call. It is Wednesday. If you're maybe watching this video and you're like, there's a team call on Wednesdays? Yes. Every Wednesday night from the beginning of time, we come together and we have a call. Every other month, we do a book club together. This month, we happen to be doing Go Give or Sell More. We're almost towards the end of it. Next month, we are doing we were going to do social media training, but I'm actually switching that up. I'm going to be doing a little bit of social media talk, but I really want to talk more about building relationships with people that are following you with different things like email campaigning or blogging or things of that nature. So I want to start talking a little bit more about other ways of growing your business and connecting with your audience that's not just on social media. There's a lot of reasons why I think that's really valuable, but that's what we're going to be talking about next month. Now, the first team call of June, this is really important, that we'll be having is going to be about Summit. So if you're going to Summit, Sable and I are going to talk all the Summit things. Like, what does a Summit schedule look like? What do you do when you get there? What is the core, which is like the store where you buy all the things? What, like eating, what does eating look like when you're at Summit? How much time do you actually have to do things? Like, these are really important things to know. Sable was with me her first Summit, so like I already knew what I was doing. My first Summit, I was pretty much alone. Like, I went with my friend Victoria, but I wasn't with her all the time. So I really had to like kind of figure out, man, this whole system around timing it, because it's very fast paced. So if you're going to Summit, please be on for the video. In fact, when I upload this video, I'll tag everybody that I know that is going to Summit to make sure that you guys are on for that call, because you need to bring your questions, you need to bring your conversation so that you have complete clarity going to Summit and you feel really secure in your being there, okay? So just FYI, that's what we'll be talking about beginning of June. So we are wrapping up this book, which might be my favorite book that I have ever read about business, like hands down. I thought The Go Giver would be that, but this one is winning. I think that we would probably all agree that this one has won the race between The Go Giver and Go Giver Sell More. Again, I just feel like this book is everything I've believed, like deep down in my soul, about what sales is, and it just is like huge confirmation on like every level. So we are going to go through the segments of the book, and we are going to talk about the things that we highlighted and why we think they're important as they apply to our business and what we do. And yeah, because every chapter, this book was set up interesting because it was like segmented, and then inside each segment there's like mini chapters, which I found interesting for each thing. So we were talking, this segment was about the law of authenticity. And the first chapter, chapter 21, is Be Real. Sable, you are not unmuted. I'm going to unmute you. There you are.
So I haven't finished it, so I'll have to just take notes for most of it.
Okay.
But I agree. I like this better than the first book in the series. Like, so good.
So good.
I can't wait to read the next one.
I know. I'm like really hyped about that follow-up one. So this segment about Be Real, I thought that was really powerful, because something I think we're taught in this business, probably with good intentions, but it can come off as being really problematic. And I know I've had this conversation with Emily before, was about feeling really uncomfortable doing certain activities in this business and feeling that bumping up against that discomfort of, you know, starting conversations or inviting, etc. And they have such an interesting take on this. So I'm just going to read the segment that I'm referring to. You may have been taught that to be successful in sales, you need to step outside of your comfort zone. Let's re-examine that idea. If you push yourself to a place that makes you uncomfortable, chances are pretty good you'll end up making the other person uncomfortable too. Consciously or not, they'll sense your discomfort, and attitudes are contagious. We human beings tend to resist discomfort. In fact, we'll typically do anything to avoid putting ourselves in uncomfortable situations. Why base your entire career on something your strongest instincts tell you to avoid? There is no need to seek discomfort. The world is already full of challenges, and it will throw plenty of discomfort your way. Rather than try to leave your comfort zone, perhaps you can just be where you are. Only change your comfort zone by stretching it a bit. Grow it, enlarge it, make it big enough to include the other person. Instead of stepping out of who you are, step into who you truly are. I loved that whole segment so much. Because the more he talks about, you know, what are the qualities of a really good salesperson? When you encounter someone who's like really good at what they do, they're really calm. They're comfortable in what they're saying. They're not uncomfortable. You don't feel uncomfortable when you're talking to a salesperson that's like a great salesperson, like someone who's like genuinely confident in their process. I feel like we do need to switch that around for you, Kari. No interruptions to the team call. You can come any other day of the week, not Wednesdays, period. Hard line. Hard line. Yeah, just be like, Wednesdays are not a good day. I've got a business meeting. You can come another day. Thank you. Boundary. I would for real set that boundary. And like if he shows up on a Wednesday after you have that conversation, you can be like, I specifically told you can't come Wednesdays. So sorry. Go back to where you came from. Thanks. Bye. Like it's really simple. You have something to do on Wednesdays. So it has to be respected. Yeah, and I love the follow-up line of the truth is authentic is not something you become, it's something you already are. Authenticity is not something you seek or take on, it's something you simply embrace. I thought that was super wonderful and deep. This whole chapter was really just about authenticity.
No, I love that. And I think that that's where I've struggled. Like, I appreciate checklists. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love checklists. I love modifying my checklist. I love having, like, I use them as goals, you know, as, you know, production monitors, you know. I mean, and my checklists are very different because I do add in there, like, free time or relaxing time, too, because otherwise sometimes I feel like I would forget. But when I have things on the checklist, like message 5 people or talk to 5 new people, maybe I only talked to 3. There was a time when I really beat myself up over not meeting that goal. And I think Beachbody specifically, like we talked about last week, you know, they really focus on some of those like business checklists because, yes, that is an easy way to move through the system until you kind of find your niche. It is. It's an easy way. There's markers. There's, you know, a process to it. It works. It works. But those people that I talked to when I decided I want to talk to them, I had so much better conversation than the last 2 of the night when I was like, my God, I just need to find 2 more people to connect with. Like those people, they didn't respond to me. Some of them unfollowed me. You know, I put off a weird vibe, I'm sure. Whereas the ones that I had discussed or talked to or checked in with or anything earlier, I had better conversation. Now, it doesn't mean they turned into anything, but it was more comfortable. I didn't give off the creeper vibe. So I totally get this.
No, you can't do that. No, sir. No, sir. That's not fair. No, I'm fighting with my husband right now. I'm sorry. We're having an argument. He's doing something he's not allowed to do. Just like my toddler. It's in the air, apparently. I'm 100% with you. Whenever I tried to force those conversations, it always ended really badly. I never got anything out of it. It was like always, it felt like a drag. It felt like a drag for me and it felt like a drag for the other person. It was just like a drag all the way around.
Well, and then I feel like too, like I would resent some of the business tasks.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a hard worker. Like, I'm not going to stop until it's done. Like, I'm going to push through. I'm going to, you know, like, if I don't see, like, benefit to it and things, like, I'll move on. And when I was trying to hit certain numbers or like hit these different markers, like it was so discouraging to me.
Yep.
So being in the right energy definitely makes a big difference.
Well, I just love when they were like, why would you base your entire career on feeling uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Like when you can just stretch a little bit and maybe feel slightly like, without being totally uncomfortable, out of your element. Because I feel like the attitude really is contagious. Like you just kind of make everybody feel uncomfortable in that interaction.
And I would say for most of us, like using this as a business is because we're getting away from something we're uncomfortable in.
Yeah, it's true.
So why turn this into, I mean, yes, it's always known, but why borderline turn this into something that is just as uncomfortable that we're trying to avoid from our current situation?
A freaking men. Like the same thing. So true. So he also talked about integrity. Yeah, so closely related to authenticity is the term integrity. Integrity means being whole, that is, not being divided. The word integrity comes from the Latin words in, not, and tangere, to touch, meaning untouched or pristine, something in its original condition. Being whole means your words and actions are not separate things. I thought that was a powerful reminder of the value of integrity.
Well, also, like, you can't sell or offer a product or a coaching or a service or do this, or I'm a master of XYZ when you're not practicing it in your everyday.
Amen.
And you won't feel it, like you won't feel it. You won't feel that you are confident enough to showcase this.
Amen. So here's the other place. So the next segment I feel is like where a lot of us trip up. Like, so chapter 22 is about being present. And this was kind of the feedback I would hear the most with new coaches. Like, okay, maybe you do get someone talking to you about something like a product or a program or something, and then all of a sudden you're like, what do I say? Right? Like that's the first question a lot of new coaches will ask. What do I say? What do I say back to this person when they're like, I'm interested, or I want more information, or whatever? And this segment about being present, it really is super important, because the entire segment is basically saying you don't really say anything. You like learn about the other person. Like your whole job is to think to yourself, who is this person? What do they want? What are they searching for? What is the single most valuable thing I could possibly offer them, right? So if you're about to have a conversation with someone and someone's been like, I want more information, or I'm interested in this, that should be your immediate go-to. Not like, well, let me tell them all about this group or all about this program or all about this program. It should really be, why is this person interested? What was it about what they saw or read that piqued their interest enough to send you a message and say, I'm interested? Like, what do they need? Because until you really figure that out, you don't really know what to offer them. You don't know. You don't know if they need to be mindset or if they need 21-day fix. You don't know if they need ultimate reset or if they need 3-day refresh. They could need, we have so much they could need. You have no idea what that is. And you will lose people when you just try to pitch them something generic because they don't feel that connection, right? So this whole segment about being present was really about you plugging into them and taking the attention off of you. When you get uncomfortable, it's because you're paying attention to you. That's when you're uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable because you have the lens on you and you're like, I want to look good. I want to say the right thing. I don't want to mess this up. I blah, blah, blah. That's what's going through your head. And when that is where you are, you're not caring about the other person. Like, you might be a good person, but you're not thinking about them. You're thinking about you and your performance and what you need.
Well, also, you might misjudge what they need if you haven't asked. Yes. Like, you may have already, like, predetermined they need bod. They can work out whatever they want.
Yeah.
Okay, but okay, yes, that may be. And maybe they had said something that would trigger you to explain that. But did you talk to them about nutrition or energy or muscle soreness? You know, there's a whole other packet that we offer, that we have as a resource, that we as coaches all utilize and love. So why not learn more about that individual to be able to showcase all of our other assets?
And here's a reason we don't do that too, is because we have our hands in their pocket and we're deciding what they can or can't afford. We do that a lot. We're like, well, I'm only going to present them with this like basic kit because I don't want them to think it's too much if they add Energize or if they add Recover.
And I'm like victim to this, but also like, who are we to determine the value or the worth that this could do to that person? Exactly. Not to mention, and I think too, it comes from a place, and this is, we've already covered this, but this place of, or almost maybe, I think this was on the call I just listened to from the other night. We come from a place of lack. I would rather have this small sale than a larger sale. Or I would rather just at least sell a membership than be turned down from this bigger package. And that's not the case at all.
Because, I mean, the truth is you don't know what they need, you know? And like, so my new workout warrior, Lauren, she's a teacher at my son's school. I just want to briefly share this story. She just told me one day on pickup, like, you look really cool. I want to be your friend, basically. Like, she just told me she wanted to be my friend. And then we became friends. She followed me on social media. She's like, I like all this stuff that you're doing. And like, she started asking to join my groups, and she started asking me questions about what I was doing. And then this whole conversation about Beachbody came up, and I was like, yeah, I'm a Beachbody coach, and I lost 35 pounds doing Beachbody, and it's something that I love doing. And she was like, can you tell me about it? Like, talk to me. And I was like, well, what's going on? That's the first thing I said to her. I was like, what's going on that this piqued your interest specifically? You know, like, what is happening in your world? And I said to her, the truth is I could offer you a bunch of things. I said this to her word for word. I have so much that I can offer you, but unless I really know what you're struggling with, I can't really make a good recommendation. So help me understand where you're at right now and what you're struggling with the most. And I will give you my best recommendation for what you've got going on. The moment those words came out of my mouth, her first message back was, thank you so much for the sincerity and the transparency. Like, she felt already respected and like honored. She was sold then at that moment. She was going to buy from me right then, like, matter of fact, just because I said that to her.
And probably anything.
Yes, literally anything I would have recommended. So I sent her, we talked a little bit. I was like, I think you should do this. I sent her the link. She's like, okay, I get paid on Friday. I was like, cool. Like, we'll be in touch. I obviously see you. That's it. I dropped it. I gave her the information. She knew what she wanted to do. It was in her hands, at that point. She bought it. She messaged me on Friday. I didn't even have to follow up, remind her, stalk her, like we're taught to do a lot of times. Like, she bought it and she messaged me, hey, I signed up. I'm ready to go. And I was like, cool, get Boxer. I'll talk to you. I'll help you get set up. Done. Like, done. Mm-hmm. So easy. I didn't have to struggle for that sale because I was just real with her. I was present. I made sure I was asking her questions, figuring out what she needed. What's her story? Mm-hmm. She has one hell of a story. She's been through a lot. That was important for me to know about her and why working out and losing weight was so important for her.
I would say too, especially for some of our newer coaches and things, you may not have tried all the programs. Yep. You might not have tried all the products, right? Because they keep growing. But what you can do is research them. You can know what we have to offer. And then when you're talking to these individuals, be honest with them. Be like, hey, I have this product. I've not tried it personally, but here's why I think it would work for you. And here's some case studies, right? I've tried a lot of the products and I've tried like a workout in each of the systems, but I haven't done the full programs and everything. Obviously, I'd be like ripped, like super coach. But I know enough of all the items that I haven't tried that I can recommend. Or I know who in our group may or may not have tried them and I can use as a reference as well. So that helps build your confidence when you're pulling that information out of your clients. Don't just recommend maybe something like you're a new coach, you've only done one program, but if you know what else we have, you can use that to your advantage as well.
Well, in your Coach Online office too, there's a whole product library.
Everything.
Every single program, when you click on it, it tells you like who it's for. Like when you go to 80-Day Obsession, it's like, this is not a beginner's program. This is intermediate to advanced. This is someone who already has a baseline of fitness. If you're going to make this recommendation, it's because they already know how to work out and they have that part of their life, right? And that stuff is important for you to know, like what would be considered a beginner's program versus not, because you don't want to set someone up who's new with something that's overwhelming and then set them up for failure, right? So part of our job is to educate ourselves in our product library, and your coach office has that there for you. They already did that. So it's so easy. So easy. All right, so chapter 23 was underselling, which I found such a powerful topic as well. Number one line I underlined: great salespeople never try to convince anyone of anything. I cannot stress that enough. Hear me out when I say this. If you have to convince someone to join your challenge group, if you have to convince someone to join your team, you are going to have to convince them to stay there. You're going to have to convince them to work. You're going to have to convince them to care. I'm not in the business of hand-holding everybody who wants help. Like, if you want to have this business, I do this. I'm in the team page. There are ways for me to support you. If you don't want to do this business, that's fine. You're an adult. You can make it, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to help with your weight loss and your fitness, I have so many tools in place to help you. If you don't want to do them, that's fine. You're an adult. Like, this is my perspective, right? Like, everyone is a grown-up, and I'm here to support those that want to help themselves. That's my perspective, okay? Don't try and convince people to do things, because you'll have to convince them forever, the whole way through. That's just truth.
That was definitely me. I had a client like that, and it was awful.
There's something else in here that I thought was like so interesting. Under promise, over deliver. So in this chapter of underselling, he talks about hype is the ultimate oversell. The worst thing about hype is that by definition, it is impossible to fulfill its promise. Hype and overselling almost invariably achieve the opposite of their intended goal. They make people want to back away, turn around, and run. So what he calls by overselling is just telling them, like, phrases of believe me, trust me, take it from me, if you want my opinion. If you notice these phrases appear in your language, you recommend that you ferret them out and eliminate them. None of them is effective at conveying genuine value. First of all, they are all me-focused. Important, they are all kind of forceful assertions that cast long shadows of doubt in the mind of the listener. If the speaker is genuinely trustworthy, does he need to tell us that? What about this one? This MacGuffin, which is like this thing, whatever the thing is that you're selling, is incredible. It's unbelievable. I'm telling you, it's the best MacGuffin there ever was made. You are going to love it. In fact, once you have one, you'll say you don't know how you ever got along without it. It's almost hard to count the number of ways this paragraph offends the listener and puts up barriers between instead of making connections. With all these expressions have in common is that they oversell. There's a wonderful expression in sales: it's better to underpromise and overdeliver than the other way around. This is an excellent way of stating the law of value, and it's the core philosophy of great salesmanship. Follow through on your promises, every single one of them. It applies to everything from always being on time for appointments, whether in person or on the phone, to sending that bit of information or link or reference that you said you'd send, to delivering the kind of every time, never miss customer service that helped make Bill Porter, which is a character he talks about earlier, famous. So, he's talking about that like hyper enthusiasm that's almost like mechanical, right? Like it's not super genuine. It's like a little bit it comes from that desperate place, that same place we were talking about before, right? Where you're like, I'd rather make any sale than really figure out what this person actually needs. This hype thing actually comes from the exact same place. Grand Central Station. Okay, so this is exactly what you were talking about. What you thought about when you think of sales. Yep. Well, many people think this is how you like help people make a decision, and it's actually manipulative by nature. That kind of energy. These are all super short. Chapter 24 is listening. Such a valuable resource when you're in sales. I love this entire section. I underlined, great salespeople don't listen in order to anything. They simply listen. They listen because they're interested in the other person. They're curious. And the example that he gave about like really listening to people and having a genuine curiosity and not making assumptions, I thought was really powerful. Our friend Gilles Arbor tells a story about his early days in network marketing. After explaining his opportunity to a prospect, the man said, "You mean it's like Amway?" And he said, "Oh, no. Gilles hastened to assure the man, "That is, yes, it was the same general idea, but no, in this way, in that way, and these other ways, it was really nothing like Amway." "That's too bad," replied the man. "I like Amway." Don't assume you know what the other person means by what he just said, because you don't. At least not unless you ask. Okay. That story in and of itself, like that has actually happened to me. That literally happened to me early on in this business. And I was like, damn, like shot myself in the foot, because this person was like, I do like that business model. And I was totally like being like, no, it's different. It is, but I didn't understand what they meant by what they liked, right? Like I didn't know what they meant when they said, is it like this? I assumed the worst because I didn't like the other company, right? But that wasn't actually what they were talking about. They were talking about the things that were good about the company that they liked. I really can't. This is the other reason why when someone's like, can you send me more information? I always like backing that up with like a question. Always. Like I always immediately start asking questions, because that allows me to be put in the listening seat instead of like spewing information, right? The other example that's in this book I thought was super worthy of mention. It was a real estate example. So imagining you're a real estate agent and this is a conversation you have with a buyer about a house. I don't know. I think maybe the house is too far from town. It's only 10 miles away, not really far at all. Buyer, well, we feel like we like being really close to where everything is. Not a problem. It's a 25-minute ride. On a bad day without traffic, you can make it in 15. Buyer, I don't know. I'm not sure. But you like the home itself, right? This isn't communication. This is arm wrestling. Once you start, it's over, because even if you win, you lose. Let's try this again, and this time, let's listen. Buyer, I don't know. I think maybe the house is too far from town. How so? What are you thinking? Buyer, well, we love the home, but we like to feel really close to where everything is. Sounds like that's really important to you. So when you say where everything is, are there specific things that you're thinking of? Buyer, well, yeah, I guess with our little girl, maybe a few more kids coming over the next couple of years, we want to make sure that we have access to whatever we need, whether it's just something like shopping or going to the movies or hospital. My husband and I both grew up right in the city, and we're used to being just minutes from everything. I guess to us, 10 miles seems like a lifetime away. And then you get to say, that makes a lot of sense. So as much as you love the idea of living in this home, we need to balance that with your and Dave's comfort level as far as distance from town goes. Do I have that right? And buyer says, yes, exactly. That's exactly it. Then you get to say, I'm wondering, there are some development plans underway right now, just a couple miles from here. I understand there'll be stores, a movie theater, even an emergency center. I don't know if it's what you need, but would you be open to taking a look at it and seeing if it's in the ballpark? By listening instead of debating and communicating that you were listening, you have advanced the sales process. That's basically exactly what I did with my new client. Like, this is exactly what I did. I like asked her questions. I was like, okay, so with Shakeology, I was like, so do you have breakfast right now? Do you use supplements? I flat out asked her. I was like, do you use supplements? How do you feel about supplementation? And she was like, well, I mean, I kind of have one. I don't use it really regularly. And I was like, okay, well, why were you using it? Like, why did you try to use a supplement? And she was like, well, you know, I don't eat in the morning, and, you know, whatever. She named a couple of other things that off the top of my head, I really can't remember now, but it was really simply like a dietary thing, like a protein staple. She wasn't really using it for anything else. And I was like, okay, so you like shakes? And she's like, yeah, I do. And I was like, all right, so what if with this, you could try a shake that didn't taste terrible, because she did mention that the taste was awful. In her previous product, I was like, what if you could try a shake that didn't taste terrible, that gave you the protein count that you would need, right? But okay, that would give you the protein count you would need, but also helped you with like depression and anxiety, because she had already told me that in the conversation that she was struggling with that. Like, would you be open to trying that? And she was like, hell yeah, I'd be open to trying that. That sounds magical. You know, at that point, she was like, that's exactly what I need. And I was like, perfect. It comes in your pack. It's already included for 30 days. She was like, sold. I want to try it. You know? So instead of just being like, here's Shakeology, here's why it's amazing, I was like, how do you feel about supplements? What's your position on supplements? You want to know what you're going into. Like, you want to know the realm you're stepping into. You want to know if you're stepping into a place where someone feels super comfortable with workouts and supplementation, or if they are like, this is the furthest thing from my zone of knowledge, I don't know anything about it. Or if there's someone who is antagonistic towards supplements and they had bad experiences and they're just like not in a good place. You want to know who you're talking to, because you don't know how to approach them and how to like really broach the subject matter unless you really know like what their position is, right? So how you figure that out is by asking questions. It's so simple. Sales is really, really simple. It's just really scary to us in our brains. So we make it into this like thing, like we have to be a professional, we have to always say the right thing, and we like can't fuck up. Like, we just have notions of like what sales looks like, and it's not like that at all. And that's why I love this book, because it just really takes that down. Like, sales is literally you listening to another person, figuring out what they're struggling with, and then offering them something. The end. Like, they get to say yes, they get to say no, they get to say now, they get to say later, they get to say whatever they're going to say. Your job is just, as the professional, is to listen to them and make a professional recommendation. Just like you would if someone came to you and was like, I'm new to town, to your city, and they're like, I'm vegan and it's my first time in this city. Do you know where I should go eat? And you're like, yeah. Do you have any allergies? Right? Like, you're going to start asking them questions like, what do you like to eat? What's your favorite genre of food? Do you have any allergies? Is there anything you can't eat? And then you're going to be like, you should go to this restaurant because this restaurant is a bomb and it meets all your criteria. You just sold them on going to a restaurant. The difference is you're not making any money from that recommendation, right? With Beachbody, you are. You literally did the exact same thing. And you do it like this, instantaneously and automatically for other things. But when it comes to this like arena, you're like deer in headlights. What do I say? Right? But is it any different than the example I just gave you about a stranger coming into your city and saying, you know, I need a restaurant that fits this criteria, right? You would automatically jump into question mode, wouldn't you? What do you like to eat? Where do you like to go? Like, what's, right? Because you're trying to figure out how I'm going to recommend, what am I going to recommend them? You're not going to send them to an Asian restaurant if they like hate Asian food. Like, you need to know that they don't hate Asian food. It's kind of important.
I also don't like just sending information to people, because that information makes sense to us.
Exactly.
And only us. Okay? Like, we use acronyms like BOD. No one in the rest of the world knows what the hell BOD stands for, right? Beachbody on demand. You're like, on demand of what? What's beach? You know, like they don't get it. And so if you haven't had more of this casual dialogue, or I mean, have you guys read the Shakeology one sheeter? Like if you sent that to someone, they'd be like, I don't know. This is like past me, adaptogens, like what the hell? This sounds like hippy dippy weird stuff. Like I just wanted a protein shake. You know, it can have like too much information can also have, you know, a negative reaction because especially if someone is new to wellness or new to fitness, like that sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
It really does. It's overwhelming, terrifying. And in a lot of professions, we use these acronyms and this language that is very used to like and familiar to us is not to them. So in the example that we just went through and how Shakti was explaining the restaurant, like that's real talk. And that's how we need to approach the selling of ourselves and these products.
I like you guys. I have made this so complicated the whole 3 years I've been in this business. Like I have had more fun in this business in this past year because I just totally took the breaks. Like the pressure came off, the crazy mind talk came off. Like it's, you just talk to people, figure out what they need. Not everybody's going to be a good match for you. Not everybody's going to be someone you want to work with. That's okay. Your job is to just be with the other person. And this final line of that chapter, that is the ultimate benefit of genuine listening. You honor the other person. That is everything people want. People just want to be honored. They just want to be heard. They just want to be listened to. So when you start this conversation about a product or program or something, just listen to them. Don't put so much pressure on that conversation having to turn a sale for you. Don't put so much pressure on that person having to be a client or that person having to be a coach. It might not be that person. It might be the next person. Just be present with that person and see if what you have is a good fit for them. I have honestly, there was a person who came to me and she wanted to get a challenge pack and she wanted to join my challenge group. And after talking to her for a while, I was like, I will sell you this challenge pack, but your mindset is like not in the right place. Like what you want is a quick fix. This is not a quick fix. So I just want you to be aware that like, you're really adamant that I send you this, but I need you to understand that you're going to have to be active and participate in this group. Like you're going to have to actually schedule your call with me to figure out how this works and get organized. Like you are going to have to show up. And what ended up happening was, I think maybe 2.5 weeks passed. She was like super mad. She's like, it's not working. I can't do this, blah, blah, blah. Exactly what I told her was going to happen. She returned the challenge pack. She sent me like this kind of angry, like blasting Shakeology, blah, blah, blah email. Again, I forewarned her. I literally said this was going to happen because of where her mindset was. And I actually sent her like a card and a Starbucks gift card as like a thank you for being a customer. Like I went above and beyond to show her appreciation for that because it was such a learning experience for me that the very next time that I feel like a client is not ready, I am not selling them that challenge pack, period. Because you don't want that. You don't want more people going out there in the public saying this doesn't work. That's not true. They don't work, right? So it just happened to me. I started following this, she's an ads person on Facebook and she teaches you how to do ad funnels in a very refreshing way. I love her energy. I love her style. She reminds me so much of myself. And she was like, message me and I will tell you if this is a good program for you or not. It's a big investment. It's like $1,200 to buy her program. And like, she asked me a question. She's like, do you have this in place? And I was like, no. And she goes, honestly, you should probably do that first. Like this, if you apply what I tell you, it's going to bring a shitload of people to you and you're not going to know how to work with them. You need more automation before you apply this. So go figure out how to do automation for your business and then come back and get this program. I was like, thank you. Guess whose program I'm going to go buy? Hers. You know why? Because she took the time to figure out what I actually needed. That's a professional, right? That's someone who knows she's not missing out on a sale in the moment. It's going to come back to her because of her integrity, right? Instead of trying to push a sale in that moment. It makes a big difference. That's huge. She heard me out, yo. I was like, I'm so thankful for this bee. Okay, objections. This is my favorite section. Everybody hates objections, don't we? Here's where the stop-ups come as a coach, right? The first one is, I don't have anybody to talk to. That's the first thing y'all say. The next thing y'all say as soon as someone asks you a question is, I don't know what to say. That's the next thing y'all say. So I just answered that question, is you ask them questions. You don't say anything. Keep your mouth shut. You ask them questions. That's what I said earlier in this call, right? The third thing that happens is they've talked to you, you've asked them questions, you've made a recommendation, and now they're going to give you an objection. That's the third thing that's going to happen. You know what? I'm going to write a whole little PDF on how this process goes because I already know it. It's like I could tell you how this happens in my sleep. First one is I don't know anybody. The second one is now I don't know what to say. The third one is now they give me an objection. What do I do? This is all that happens. And the funny thing is you guys think this is weird. This isn't weird. This is what's supposed to happen. This is the sales process. This will happen every single time, even when someone really needs what you have. Every once in a while, you're going to get a unicorn like Lauren and be like, yeah, I want to buy it. And they just do. And then you're like, yes, this is great. But a lot of times, you're going to hit people who are like, objection, right? So what do? Let's go to the Bible of sales, as I like to call this book, because that's what the book is. Let us see. Very first, I highlighted this whole segment. Okay. The natural impulse upon getting an objection is to counter. In other words, when you sense that the other person has an issue, concern, criticism, or hesitation about your product, you suit up and prepare to do battle. The typical approach to overcoming objections is essentially a type of warfare. No wonder people feel like flinching, wincing, or running when it's done to them. The truth about objections is that most of the time they aren't really objections. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. You know all about your product. You're an expert in everything about your product, but the other person is not. They're just now considering it, possibly for the very first time. They also have a lot of stuff going on in their lives. Who knows what issues are on their minds, nagging them, wanting your attention. The point the other person actually puts into words is probably not the totality of what they're really thinking. In fact, chances are excellent that they aren't quite sure just what they think. And in the effort to clarify their own position, they seize on the first thought that comes to mind and toss it out to you as a way of saying, hang on, not so fast. In a very real sense, what they end up deciding they really do think depends on you and how you treat them in the next 30 seconds. You can do one of two things. You can challenge them, which will probably harden their thought into a firm negative position, or you can reframe their point as a request for clarification, which is what it really is, and join them as a partner in the process. Okay? So, we call that turning in the direction of the skid. Okay? So when you first learn how to ride a bike, what did they teach you about falling? If you're still falling, turn the wheel in the same direction to stop the fall. But your young, untrained instinct screams, no, go the other way. You're falling right, turn left. Cut it hard, and what happens? You fall on your butt. Communicating with people works exactly the same way. When your conversation feels like it hits a bump and you might be losing your balance, your instinct will tell you, turn the other way, cut it hard. For example, a person will say, I don't know, this product seems pretty expensive. How many of y'all have gotten that the whole time y'all been selling Shakeology? That's the very first fucking thing people say to you about Shakeology. Mm-hmm. You don't care what it does. They're like, this shit's expensive. So then we want to be like, expensive? Not at all. Really, when you consider what you're getting here, it's worth every penny and more. And hey, have you ever added up how much you spend each month on sodas, snacks, and junk food? We were taught that, right? This is how we combat. Crash right on your butt. That's what this book says. So what do you say? How do you reframe this? Other person, I don't know. This product seems pretty expensive. You. So you're saying X dollars seems like a lot to invest in Shakeology, in a supplement. The other person, well, yeah. You certainly something to consider. If I may ask, what kind of a result would you need to see to justify that kind of price? It's a matter of turning your wheel in the same direction of the other person is going, not trying to force them back the other way. This doesn't mean that you necessarily agree with the objection itself. Saying certainly something to consider, or I get what you're saying, is not the same thing as saying you're right, this product is expensive. It's not that you have to agree with the person's point, it's a matter of being with the person, not jousting or dueling with them, of trusting yourself and the facts about your product enough to not have to push. It shows the other person and yourself that you're not afraid of questions. It may feel awkward or strange at first, like you'll never get the hang of it, but as with riding a bike, you will. And once you do, you'll never forget it. It works in relationships as well. For example, partner says, honey, there's something we need to talk about. I'm worried that you're starting to get too wrapped up in your work and not spending enough time at home. You respond with, that's just not true. We spent the whole afternoon together Saturday, and you know what challenges I'm facing at work these days, and I'm only doing this for our future. Or, honey, there's something we need to talk about. I'm worried about you're starting to get too wrapped up in your work and not spending enough time at home. You, really? I'm doing that? I had no idea. Wow. Spouse, yeah, well, it seems like it lately. What do you think we could be doing differently? You're not against them, you're with them. You're on the same side of the conversation. You're trying to find a solution together, okay? Sales is not something you do to another person, it's something you do with another person. I think that's one of the most powerful statements I've ever heard about sales. It's not something you do to people, it's something you do with people. The point when they have entrusted you with their uncertainties, doubts, fears, and hesitations, and you have honored and embraced them rather than butting up against them, when the connection is solidified and the sale itself begins to show up. Like, that is really, really important, okay? Like, hear me when I say this, especially about objections and closing. Closing happens organically when the trust is there and that connection is made. It's a very natural extension. You can't be afraid of the objection. You can't feel like you're suiting up for battle. It has to be like, help me understand what you need. Help me understand what you mean when you say this. Help me see this from your side. Make it a collaborative effort. It might still be that it's not the solution they want, and that's fine. But you going up against someone doesn't work. Never works. That has to be eliminated. I mean, do you guys find yourself doing that with objections? Like you either want to like fight or deflect? Closing is kind of like the same topic almost. They talk about like opening instead of closing, like opening a conversation instead of closing as a concept. Good. I'm glad that helps to reframe it. Yeah, it's the whole time you're in the sales process, you're just trying to understand them more. That's it. That's really what the basis of this book is about. Like, you selling anything is just you trying to understand them better. So I do discovery calls because I do one-on-one coaching. I have a group coaching program, and I also do Beachbody coaching. There's 3 different ways that I coach clients. When I hop on a call with them, they'll hop on a call with me for one thing. Let's say they want to learn more about my group coaching. That's not going to work, Tanya. They're going to get defensive. Just throwing that out there because you do. So trust me, I've said that to you, didn't like it very much. Right? We had to work around. Okay? You know, you're laughing because you know. Okay? So when someone gets a discovery call with me, they'll say, I want to talk to you about TAL, my Alignment Mastery Program. And I'm like, okay. And then we'll get on the phone and they start talking. I'm like, I mean, you can enroll in TAL, but what it really sounds like your primary interest is health and fitness. Like you are struggling with your nutrition and your body image. Like maybe where you should start is over here in this over here, and here's why, right? After I listen to them talk about their issues, right? Or sometimes they'll be like wanting to talk to me about maybe Beachbody or my group coaching, and I realize the amount of attention they actually need is way higher than what they're gonna get out of these two experiences. So I'm like, your best bet is probably do one-on-one coaching, because it sounds like what you really need requires way more time, right? But I don't know what someone needs until I hear from them. My job is just to understand what they need, right? And every time someone comes to get a massage, it's the same conversation. I don't assume that I know what's happening in their body because they're my client and they have been my client for a while. When they walk in, Tanya will attest, what's the very first thing I say to you? How have you been? How's the body doing? I say the same line every single time. How is the body doing? Where are you today? Not where were you last week when I saw you, or a month ago, you were going to work on the same issue, or you have chronic head and neck issues. No. Today, when you walk in, you're a different person, and I want to know what's happening today, right? And I'm going to ask you questions to figure that out. I do the same thing with everything. It's the exact same process. Yes, Kari, so you're a body worker, so you will understand. People are different every time they walk into your office. It doesn't matter if you saw them a week ago. They're different. Life has happened in a week. You need to know what's new, what's going on. Don't worry, I got you. I'll be seeing you soon. Right? So does this conversation like take pressure off you when it comes to sales? Do you feel like you're beginning to understand that your only job is to really understand people? Like, what are they actually needing? What do they actually need? Your job is to just figure that out and to just make a professional recommendation. Kari, you're a therapist as well. So when someone is on your table and you're working on them, you make a professional recommendation. Like, homegirl, you need to stretch. You should probably be doing some yoga in your life. Or like, you should probably see a really good chiropractor. Like, in my professional opinion, you should probably see a really good chiropractor, right? Like, we are professionals and we make professional recommendations. That's our job. That's it. Whether they say yes or no, that's not our job. That's their job. You get that? Perfect. So this is why this book is my new favorite thing.
Don't you just wish we had it sooner?
Yes. Oh my God. I was just thinking that. I was like, my life would be so different if I had had this as a new coach. In fact, I was thinking of like this being the very first book that I sent out, or like Go Giver, and then when coaches go Emerald, sending out this one, you know, like in like a sequencing.
Yeah.
Because like, I just feel like this, I feel like when you hit Emerald, you have like enough experience in the business that you know what's going on, but then you need like a new mindset, you know, after that, I feel. I get annoyed when they got the same damn excuse, dude. Why do you keep coming to me? Oh, because I'm going to tell you the same shit. Well, yes. So here's your job as a professional, because this is what I do. When that happens to me and they're like giving me the same thing, I say to them these words. Okay, I hear you. It sounds like you're not ready for this. Sounds like this isn't a good fit for you. All right. When it is a good fit, you get back to me. Boom. Fucking gunpowder, smoke in the air, walk away, moonwalking. Done. Like, you just backed out of that one. You know what that does too? As soon as, and he actually wrote this in the book, when you say to someone, you know what, it sounds like it's not the right time for you, they're like, wait, yes, it is. Mm-hmm. It's incredible how many times people will do that. They don't want you to tell them it's not a good time for them. They're like, I decide when it's a good time. So they're like, baby, it's a good time for me to do this. Don't tell me I can't do something.
I'll buy 2.
Yeah, give me 3 of those things. You know, how many times have you seen that happen? It's legit. It does. Right? So that's a very easy way of you like diffusing the energy. He actually talks about that in the close, which is the last chapter of this segment. Like, give people an out, because people are looking for an out anyway, right? That's why they're giving you the objections and the excuses. So give them the out. Be like, you know what? You're probably right. It probably isn't for you. You know what? You're probably right. It's probably is not the time for you. I understand if you can't do this right now. And they're like, what do you mean I can't do this right now? You can tell me what I can and can't do? You know, that's exactly what that's going to trigger in their brain. But then you just all of a sudden falls in their court. Like you just backed out in the best way possible. You gave them an out. You didn't pressure them. And now they have to think about whether they're ready or not on their own. The containers, people are terrified. It's funny how people look at these containers and they're like, I'm going to starve. And then like my friend Lauren, who got in her word, she's like, how do you eat all this food? And I was like, that's always the next thing. It's like the very next thing is like, this is way too much food.
I just like remember like 80-day obsession. I was like, I need a wheelie cooler.
Oh, I don't even want to. I have PTSD from 80-day obsession. Let me just explain to you how I have post-traumatic stress syndrome from 80-day obsession. I look at the containers and I have to rewire my brain so I don't start panicking about 80-day obsession.
And I don't like my food to not match. And I had to eat some weird shit together in these container combos.
Corn and ketchup, and you're like, this ain't right.
Like, gotta eat I'm trying to think what my weirdest like combo was.
I think one day I ate like chickpeas and like an egg or something. It was like the weirdest two things, and I'm like, these things don't belong.
Oh well, no, it was like cacao nibs and like hummus or cacao nibs. It doesn't go. There's nothing to dip. You try to dip cacao nib into hummus? No, you cannot. It doesn't work.
I'm crying. It's so funny. It's so true. That was my experience. But you know what? I was looking back at pictures of me when I did 80 Obsession.
I gotta go back.
I was ripped.
I saw like a video, like it went back on my timeline. I was like, oh shit, I should probably do it.
Dude, we looked amazing when we did 80 Obsession. Like that program changed my body. Because I went to Mexico right after that, and I was like, bruh, look at me in Mexico. I looked amazing. It was legit.
What else did I eat that was weird? Oh, like almond butter, like these little packets of almond butter. I'd be like, oh, I gotta get it in. Like,
that shit in. Yeah, I remember that. I'm actually just now. My schedule has like calmed enough that I could finish the UPF videos because I had to like pause because it was just like I was receiving so much information. My brain was like dying. But now that I've found a routine with like doing the containers and ordering my groceries like the same day every week. Like I have like a system now for grocery shopping, and also because I'm ordering groceries, I'm spending way less money, and I'm also not eating like random shit because I have to be super specific about what I'm putting in my cart for meals. It's like made this a lot easier. I was like, I don't know why I didn't figure this out the first time I did these damn containers, but this would have saved my life originally.
I love the containers. Like I can kill it with the containers. Like I finally have like meals down, routine. It was the timed nutrition.
That's too much.
That was hard. I mean, kudos to anyone that like lives on that regularly. That was a challenge for me. At least in the schedule that I was at then. Like that was too hard.
Yeah, no, thank you. I can do like I want to do her carb cycling program for like before like a vacation or something, right? Like you want to be in rock a bikini, like you could totally do that because it's short. It's meant for like a short thing. But that time nutrition for 80 days, Lord.
I also just popped up on my timeline was my results from the Ultimate Reset.
I saw that because I shared your results. They were amazing.
And then I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do it again. 21 days of super greens though.
Got Power Greens. Yo. I have a client doing it right now. Actually, she's doing the Ultimate Reset right now. She randomly bought it, and she's a massage client of mine, and she's also like Beachbody kind of in the background. And she's like, this Ultimate Reset is legit. And I was like, it is too legit to quit. She's like, I really like the Power Greens. I was like, power to you, girl. Because the whole time I was drinking those Power Greens, I was like, Lord, what did I do to deserve this?
Also, a magical supplement that we offer, and I think that is totally underplayed, is when you do, if you haven't done the Ultimate Reset, you can buy just the individual supplements by themselves. And I take the turmeric and aloe pill. And last week I pulled a muscle in my back, like in my shoulder blade, and I was like debilitating. Like I was struggling. Like I had, like I couldn't sleep. I could like laying flat hurt. Laying anywhere felt like it hurt. Sitting at the desk too long hurt. I had bought like a pain reliever for back pain, didn't work. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, what am I thinking? I took it because it's anti-inflammatory. Within a couple hours, my back did not hurt anymore. Turmeric and aloe. It's part of the Ultimate Reset kit, but you can buy them individually. So this also plays into like, know what you have to offer people. Like also like to look for that supplement in like a store. You cannot find a product that has that much aloe and that much turmeric in one pill. You'll have to buy more. And so like
supplements are really dense.
Yeah.
Like that's what people don't understand. Like Shakeology is dense as fuck. You cannot find that anywhere. And those little capsules that came in Ultimate Reset. So Ultimate Reset is 3 phases. It's like you have the it's like a bioavailability capsule in the first week to make sure you're absorbing your nutrients in your food well. And then the second week, you're doing that detox powder. You're drinking a detox and you're cleansing your body. The whole time you're doing the turmeric and aloe in the evening. That's like your evening pill, the whole 3 weeks. And then the third week, you're doing extra probiotics and prebiotics to like reseed your gut. It's a genius program. It's really well made. It's very easy to follow. All the recipes are in the manual for you. Like spoon fed to you.
You can't mess it up.
You cannot mess this cleanse up. It's just so.
And not only is it a cleanse, but you eat a lot.
Yeah, you do eat a lot of food. It's perfect for now and like hot because it's a lot of fresh greens. You're eating a lot of salads and like dense greens. So it's a good time. We usually do it. We were going to do it once a year. It's around this time. We always ended up doing it similar around the same time.
Get it on the calendar.
I know. We need to plan to get on the calendar. I probably want to do it like after Summit. That would be a good time to do it. Right before Morning Meltdown hits in October. I'll be doing Morning Meltdown in October. Yeah, compare like the density of the turmeric that you bought at Costco with what you'll find at our store. Because that's what she's talking about. It's like the amount of product that is in the capsule. The purity of the product it's
crazy. I mean, I didn't believe it at first.
Yeah.
Like I really didn't. And I bought it because when we were on the detox, like that supplement was my favorite. Like, and my husband, I was so lucky he did the detox with me, but it was so funny because one night he's like, do you ever feel like you're high on the detox? And I was like, it's the orange pill. He's like, yeah, it's the turmeric and the aloe.
But when you're like, you would take it at night and you'd be like,
you're like,
all of a sudden.
You're like, I feel amazing. Like,
yeah, like so zenned out. It like was a really zen pill. It was so good. Now we're just talking about random shit. So if you're watching this, sorry. Ultimate Reset is great. You should do it.
I just upsold the shit out of this Soothe pill and the Ultimate.
See? Like, is that hard? No, it's not hard. We just get crazy in our brains. We need to like calm down the brain is what we need to do. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. So I'm hearing you on this tutorial for how I grocery shop. I will do that inside of Workout Warriors. That's a great video for me to do. I will do that. I will share how I'm doing it lately because it's honestly like I'm doing the trial period for Instacart because then you pay like a yearly membership for Instacart. I already have Prime. I'm a Prime member, so I do Prime with Whole Foods, but I use Instacart for like Kroger, Sprouts, all the other stores that you can't get through Prime. And yeah, last week I did one bulk order from Whole Foods and I did another order from Sprouts for what I was missing, and I got my groceries.
I did the trial for Instacart.
It's so helpful, honestly. Like, you get to like check your list, you make sure you get exactly what you need. It's a little bit, there's a like a trial and error time, because you're going to figure out like how much do you need to last you the week, for example, like how many bananas you need for the whole week, or how much milk do you need the whole week. Like, it takes a little bit.
I mean, I'm already OCD and I know exactly how many oranges, apples, bananas. I know what the poundage of grapes are to get through anyone, you can just send me your container counts and I will send you back your equations of how much of everything you need.
I'm going to give you a grocery list.
Sable is going to regret she just made that comment.
I'm not like, I'm obsessed with it. Like, part of me wants to be like an Instacart shopper because I love grocery shopping so much.
I do too. I just don't know what to
job
get.
when you leave your job. Congratulations. You could just be an Instacart shopper and a Beachbody coach. That'll be so fun.
I know.
For you. All of your life's passions in one place.
But yeah, actually tomorrow night is our Workout Warriors live coaching, so we could talk about it then.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna go like remind everybody over there actually.
Yeah, we didn't set a time, but I'm sure.
I just said 9. I said it in the video.
Oh, okay, we're good then.
My last video. But I'll go remind people. All right, my loves. Thanks for hanging. Hopefully this was really insightful and helpful. I'm gonna try and get this uploaded quickly. YouTube has been a little bit more cooperative lately, so hopefully I'll get this up soon. Bye.
Bye.
See you next week.